what I realized is like the greatest gift I could give my kids was presence, like PRESENCE. And ironically, when we talk about this idea of presence, that is exactly what Emmanuel means, right? It is God is with us. He is present with us.
Isn't it interesting that God gave us his presence before he gave us explanation? God gave us his presence when we were longing for explanation. God, why do bad things happen to good people? Why is all this suffering in the world? It's no accident that in Isaiah, they talked about Emmanuel, that God would come and dwell with his people. Now they had no clue what that would be like. But then the fulfillment of it happened. What if the questions you're carrying are the very ones that lead you closer to God, to yourself, and to others? Welcome to Communion. I'm Erin.
And I'm Ramonita. We're all about relationships over religion. In a world pulling us apart, we're creating space to come together. Rooted, wrestling, rebuilding. Wherever you are welcome here.
Jesus sat at tables. We believe that's still where he meets us, in our stories, in our questions, in community.
We're here to set the table and invite you in. So pull up a chair. Let's wrestle with our questions. Let's seek answers and understanding.
And let's reconcile together.
Hey, E.
Hey, T. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, girl. I love this time of year, as I know you do.
Yes.
I am so excited. This season has been really, really sweet. And so I am excited to finish out this year really strong, but especially to do it in this way.
Yes. And all of you guys listening and watching know that TT loves to sing. So this episode is an entire episode full of Christmas carols where TT's just going to sing the entire episode, Christmas carols.
Mariah Carey in the building. Okay. No, but seriously. Okay. So this is actually funny because I told Jeremy, I said, I aspire to be Mariah Carey, where a bulk of my wealth, whatever it is doing, is made at Christmas time because I help make the season special. So I hope that someday, if I, ever become wealthy and just like I hope it's made from something that I do to celebrate Christmas.
I love it.
But yes, girl. Well, and the funniest part now is like Jeremy looks at me the other day and he goes, I hope you're happy. And I'm like, what? Because mind you, I'm married to the Grinch.
Yes.
And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, oh, your elf's in the making. Like Soul wakes up in the morning singing Christmas carols. Okay. Like she just like
my girl.
Literally like, but the funniest part is she knows none of the words. So she makes up the words.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. So right now her song is Ariana Grande, Santa Tell Me. You really care. Or whatever. Yeah. She makes up the words to that. So I can't decipher what the real words of that song are and the ones that I make fun of. But yes, if I could carry a tune a little better, I definitely would sing this whole episode.
I love it. Well, you say Mariah Carey. Jude, my oldest growing up, I would say, when I would sing it to him when he was a kid, I would sing, all I want for Christmas is Jude. And literally, I think he was like 6 before he realized it doesn't say Jude. It says you. And so that's still his favorite Christmas song because I've always sang it to him. And then, of course, I had Kai and Asher, and their names don't fit quite as well. So I'm still finding a Christmas song to sub their name out.
Well, I will say that's always the first Christmas song I listen to every year. Like the last trick-or-treater comes to our house, and then as soon as I turn off the first light, boop, that's the song that gets played in our house, and we dance party to it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, but there are so many reasons why I love Christmas. And for me growing up, it was just like the spirit of this time of year. Like I couldn't explain it, but there was something that made this time feel so special. And that has stayed with me my entire life, I truly didn't know back then because to no surprise to anyone listening, but I didn't grow up with a spiritual or faith background. So the true meaning of Christmas really didn't like resonate with me, or it wasn't relevant because I didn't know it. Like, of course, I think I knew, it's baby Jesus birthday, kind of thing. But I didn't know what Christmas truly meant, like, and what the real reason we celebrate this season was for. And so now as an adult, as I'm on my own walk, as I'm on my own journey, and even more like, especially as I'm teaching my children about what this season means, it has taken whole new meaning, and I'm still learning so much about what this season means more and more each and every year.
Yeah.
But it's like the beauty of like being able to share that with my kids and like
Yep.
really teach them what this season is about. That has been so beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's the best when we know our kids can tell us the entire Christmas story because it's so familiar to their brains. And you do such a great job with that with your girls, of them understanding what Christmas is really all about. And, I think that the idea of Christmas, whether you grew up in a home that talked about Christ or you grew up in a home that didn't mention Christ at all, I think it's the spirit of Christmas that allows us to think about it. We are more generous. We're typically feel like we're full of joy and all of that. And then when you attach Christ to it and you understand the real meaning behind it, Christmas comes alive so much more. And you and I were talking about this recently, about how both of us just wanted to be more present with our families this year and with our kids this year. And I'm grateful to say, and I know I speak for you too, that we've been able to do that. We've been able to accomplish that because we're realizing like our presence with our family and our presence with the people that we love the most is actually so much more meaningful than all the hustle. And I'm so sick of the hustle. I'm sick of hustling. And especially when we look at this world, like it feels sometimes like the hustle and like doing all the things and trying to like have everything perfect is it's so counter to what it might feel like, the very stark reality of what our world feels like right now, where it does feel a lot of days like there's a lot of darkness roaming the earth, and the need for Christ is so evident more than I think other times that we've recognized. And so to be able to stop and to be present and to feel what the world feels like, but also to have the hope of Christ has changed everything. I know it's changed it for me, and I know it's changed it for you too. So I'm excited to dive into our episode today to talk about what does that look like? What does that look like to have hope at Christmas time, even when maybe your life right now is going really great, but maybe it feels like there's a bit of darkness looming over you. And so I'm excited to chat about that today.
Yeah, I love that you talked about presents. So this year, so growing up, I think part of like what was evident around Christmas for me is like when you talk about that hustle, I didn't grow up with a lot, like, but I watched my mom hustle and grind, like put in extra hours all December, like so that she could put presents under the tree, and there was this like wow factor of like waking up on Christmas morning and there was something under the tree for us. And, I don't think as a child it really connected to me of like what the cost of that was. There was this obsession with things. We didn't have a lot. So to have a time of the year when we got something and got something special or something that we really wanted, we felt seen and known and all of these things. And then as I grew up, I did see the cost of it. I saw the cost of like my mom not being present, as not being able to be as present during the season because she was grinding and she was hustling. I mean,
absolutely.
My mom and I always joke, but like there's this one Christmas Eve where my mom waited to wrap all the presents until Christmas Eve every single year. She'd be up all night. But there was one Christmas Eve, I was a teenager. And so at this point, I just wanted gift cards and money. I didn't want anybody to buy me anything because I was like, I want to choose my own adventure. And I like what I like. And I don't want you to pick it for me. And so my mom, she worked as like security at a car auction. And so she was working the graveyard shift, and it was in this little shed, like trailer kind of thing, like a security shack. And I went with her and we stayed up all night in the security shack wrapping the gifts so that she could get home at like whatever time we got home in that morning, and the gifts could be put on the tree so that by the time the rest of the house woke up, like they were there. And so I got to see like the sacrifice of what it meant to put presents under the tree. Fast forward for a while, like my kid, my oldest kid is 6. Like I thought about that and I was like, man, like we work so hard all year to like obtain things or to create this special
Yeah.
feeling or whatever.
Yep.
And what I'm realizing like this year is that my kids didn't want my kids don't have a Christmas list. Like it's actually kind of weird because you would think like my kids would have a Christmas list or all kids have a Christmas list, right? But my
Sure.
kids didn't have a Christmas list. And as people ask me, you know, around Black Friday, like, what do your kids want? What do your kids want? I was like, my answer continued to be like, my kids just want to be with people. Like they just want experiences or they just want, and I know that sounds so cliche, but what I realized is like the greatest gift I could give my kids was presence, like PRESENCE. And so I put together this plan. I've derived this plan called 25 days of presence. And so each day like I've shut down any yeses to anybody else outside of my family, my kids, my husband. Like I'm not taking on anything extra. And every day we have done something together as a family and been so present. And just this weekend, my older daughter, Storm goes, Mom, I realize I don't have a Christmas this year because I have everything I want. Like, and that was so huge because we're like on like day whatever of Christmas, you know, 25 days of Christmas. And so we've gone ice skating and we baked cookies. We did a family game night. Like they're not like these big elaborate experiences. Like sometimes they are just a living room sleepover. We just did things where I was just so intentional about being present with my children during this time. And for her to say I have everything I want just confirmed with me what that gift of presence actually means. And so on Saturday night, we were watching this movie called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever on Prime. It's such a cute video about these kids that are bullies. They don't really have parents. They end up coming to church because this other kid they were bullying tells them there's snacks at church. They sign up to be in the Christmas pageant. And the little girl keeps staring at this poster. And the word on it's a poster of Mary holding baby Jesus, and the poster above it just says Emmanuel. And it's funny because on Friday when I was preparing for our Christmas party that we have at our home, like I was like listening to worship and stuff, and there's this Norman Hutchins song that goes Emmanuel. It's like this old school gospel or whatever, but it's like that's like my Christmas song, and I kept being like, man, like there's something about Emmanuel that keeps standing out to me. Maybe it's because my middle name is Manuela, so in Spanish, you know, it's kind of but Emmanuel just keeps standing out to me, like that word this season. And if you don't know what Emmanuel means, it's in scripture, in the nativity story, it means God is with us. Like it says you should like say Emmanuel, you call him Emmanuel, right? And it's this idea of like God is with us. And ironically, when we talk about this idea of presence, that is exactly what Emmanuel means, right? It is God is with us. He is present with us. And so I've really been thinking about what does it mean for God to be with us? And how this season is such a celebration. This time of the year is a celebration for the fact that God in heaven came to be with us, to have a very earthly human experience, to understand the human heart and experience lived out on this earth, so that he could empathize, understand, have compassion, feel the things we feel, experience the things that we experience. There is nothing that God with us did not experience that we experience on this earth. And therefore, there is nothing he can't understand. There is nothing we can't bring to him. There's nothing too hard for him. There's nothing too big with him. And so it just like this idea of like, wow, God, you loved us so much. Come be with us, that you would have a very human experience, so that even though you are no longer physically with us, you are always with us, whether we're experiencing hope, joy, or sorrow in this season. And so that idea of Emmanuel has just been resonating and sitting with me so deeply. E, what about you? I know, you know, every year you do an Advent study and you really reflect on what this season means. And you have been somebody that's been so instrumental in me looking at this season from a different point of view, because you are so intentional every year about really making sure you are reminding yourself of what this season means. So what about this year? Like how are you experiencing? that this season.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the Lord is always revealing something new about himself to me in Advent, and it looks different. Like you said, every year, I think when we set our intentionality on, okay, Lord, like, what do you want to say to me about your journey? Not just to earth, but your journey to the cross. Like, there's something different. And some years it feels like it's like, my gosh, like, okay, that was cool. And other years it feels like it's been really rich. And this has been one of those years where it's felt really rich. I do want to just make one comment on what you were saying earlier about your girls, because just to clarify, like, what your girls are saying of we have everything, they weren't saying that they have all the material things. That was your point. They were saying that what they long for in their souls and in their hearts was your presence. That is the only reason that they probably aren't longing for all the other things that, that I'm going to be honest, like, my boys have their list of Legos. Lord have mercy on me, Legos. TT knows that I do not like Legos, and I don't like doing Legos with my kids. And it's a little bit of a guilt that I carry with me, because it's the one thing puzzles and Legos I don't want to do with my kids. And that's what Jude always wants for Christmas. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, like, to want a few toys, but I would agree with you that presence is so important. And then, yes, isn't it interesting that God gave us his presence before he gave us explanation? Like, that God gave us his presence when we were longing for explanation. God, why do bad things happen to good people? Why is all there all this suffering in the world? Instead of giving us explanation, I have a hard time saying words these days. Anyway, God gave us his presence, his very presence. He came and he dwelt among us. He moved into the neighborhood and he said, hey, I'm going to come and just sit with you. And isn't that true in our own lives? There is power in people's presence. When I'm going through something really hard, the power of someone just coming and sitting with me. They don't even have to talk, but just sitting with me, giving me a hug. It's less about the words they say and more about the fact that they're showing up in my world on my darkest day and giving me the gift of their presence. And so there's something so beautiful about presence, and it's no accident that in Isaiah, they talked about Emmanuel, that God would come and dwell with his people. Now, they had no clue what that would be like, but then the fulfillment of it happened, that Emmanuel comes and he dwells among us, but he comes and he dwells among us in a very different way than what we ever expected him to do. And so when the angel of the Lord comes and visits Joseph, after Gabriel has said to Mary, hey, by the way, you're going to get pregnant. Ooh, that's some high risk right there. There's some implications for that. What you may or may not understand, in the context of what was going on in those days, was if you were sleeping with somebody and got pregnant before marriage, you're dying. Like, they're going to put you in the square and stone you. So there was some pretty big ramifications, and I don't want to just skip over that part. But Mary says, let it be according to your will. It wasn't that she wasn't scared. In fact, it says that there was fear and trembling in her. But she says, let it be according to your will, because the angel said, my spirit will be with you. And then Joseph is like, I don't believe you. I know you've been sleeping with somebody. That's clear. I know how a baby gets in the belly, and it ain't coming from any other way. And what does the angel do? Angel of the Lord visits Joseph. And in that, it's the fulfillment of the prophecy from Isaiah. There's so much connection in scripture that we miss sometimes. In Isaiah, it talks about the light shining in the darkness. It talks about Emmanuel being with us. And then what does Gabriel say to Joseph? Gabriel says to Joseph, the fulfillment of the prophecy is coming. Today, in the city of David, a son will be born to you. The fulfillment happens, right? And so think about all that time of us waiting for Emmanuel, and yet Emmanuel comes. And so that's a tangent to go off on. Related to that, I think what's so beautiful about it is that not only does God come and dwell among us, but he comes into our darkness. And so this year, for me, it's been hope in the midst of darkness, light in the dark, that Jesus doesn't shy away from the darkness. He doesn't wait till it's a more opportune time to come. There was a massive civil unrest going on in Judea and all over Israel when Jesus is coming. There's massive civil unrest. I mean, Herod was straight up and Caesar were straight up killing baby boys. All the baby boys, the firstborn sons, were being murdered. All of these kids were dying. It's very risky. And yet God still decides this is the time that I'm going to send my son into the darkest, what they thought was the darkest time. And Jesus comes and he brings light. And the light will always overcome the darkness. The darkness cannot overcome the light. And so there's been something really special to me about that this year is that Christ is the light in the darkness, but not only he's the light in our darkness, but that he's not afraid of the darkness, that he'll step into our darkest days and give us the gift of his presence. So actually presence and light have a lot to do with each other.
Yeah. And what it really says to me is like, there's this overarching theme of this season called hope, that we can have hope. One, that Jesus came to be light in the darkness. And whether we're feeling joy in this season or sorrow and suffering in this season, there is a light. There is a light, right?
Yep.
And we can hold on to the hope of Jesus in the midst of the sorrow, in the midst of the suffering, in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the sadness, in the midst of the grief. And that there's a promise that he is also with us in it, like God with us, Emmanuel with us. Like, yes, there is hope for the light, but there is God's presence in the midst. And I think that's so beautiful, because knowing that God is with us in the midst is a thing that can have us hold on to hope for the light that is to come, that for the light that is to drive out the darkness. And so no matter what, I think there's something powerful and beautiful about this story, that it can give us hope, that the light drives out the darkness, but also the mere fact that God came here ladders up so deeply to what communion is all about, and this idea of reconciliation. The fact that God sent his son, Jesus, to this earth to be with us, fulfill the promise of restoration and reconciliation of our relationship with God, and that we would be with him, right? It was, he came to be with us so that we could be restored to be back with him. And so, in right standing relationship, we talk about this each year. We do an Advent mini episode every year. And I think this is just to offer encouragement, to hold on to hope, that the gift of Jesus coming to earth in and of itself is a reason to hold on to hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only does he bring that hope into our lives and he gives us his presence so that we know that he is with us, but he gives us his presence so that we can learn to be present with one another, and that we can learn to be present with ourselves too. And I think about that. Like, if we contemplate Emmanuel, God with us, and that he's bringing us hope, then that actually inspires us to go and to bring hope to the world, to bring hope to the people that we're going and sitting with, that to offer our presence to those people, to offer hope to those people, to our friends, to our family, to strangers, and also offering that hope to ourselves. Do we believe that the hope of Christ is for everyone else and not us? That's like a convicting thing for me. Sometimes I offer the hope of Christ to everyone else, but I don't offer the hope of Christ to myself. And so I just love how God doesn't go, "Hey, I love you," and he shouts light from heaven to us. He's like, "I love you. Hey, I'm up here. I love you. Hey, I promise there's hope." No, he doesn't shout it from heaven. He comes and walks among us. He shows us what light actually looks like. He comes to earth and he walks it out. And that, to me, is the beauty of God. We don't have a God who is distant from us. We don't have a God who says, "Here's the way you need to live and figure it out." He says, not only am I going to give you the roadmap to life, but I'm going to come walk it with you. And even after Christ's death and resurrection, he has left us his spirit to still walk with us, to guide us, and in a couple of weeks, we're going to have an episode that comes out about the Holy Spirit. Make sure that you listen to that one, because it is so important to understand that not only did Christ dwell among us then, not only does he dwell among us now, but he dwells in our hearts through the gift of his Holy Spirit. And he left that gift with us. And so wherever this season finds you, whether you're in massive grief, you are dealing with a lot of unanswered prayers, there's relationships in your life that are broken or fractured, or you feel like honestly you just have a ton of spiritual fatigue right now, like you are exhausted, maybe you've been in ministry for a long time, maybe you've been following Jesus for a long time, and there's just an apathy. Trust me, I understand, I hear you, I get it. Would you just sit and maybe just within the simplicity, but just contemplate, Emmanuel, that God is with you, and where are you needing God's light to shine into your darkness? Because there's power. We've talked about this before in our episodes, but not only there's power in the waiting, but God doesn't just remove darkness from our life instantly, but what he reminds us is darkness is never dominant over light in our life. Darkness never has the final say. And so you might be sitting in a dark season right now, but what would it mean to contemplate the fact that where in your life have you seen God's light shine and always overcome darkness? It may not be instant, but where have you seen that happen in your life?
And I'll close it out with this, that my prayer is for anyone listening and even ourselves, that just like my daughter came to me and said, Mom, I don't have a list. I don't have wants because I have everything I need because presence was enough. That's my prayer for anyone listening, is that in this season, God with us, Emmanuel, God's presence would be enough. That you don't need or want for anything else.
So good, T. That's so good.
Well, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2026. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. We love you. And then let's come back in the new year and let's wrestle and rumble, not with each other, but with our questions.
And let's keep on reconciling together. Merry Christmas, everyone. We love y'all. See ya. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Substack. We're so glad that you're a part of this space, and it really means a lot that you would take the time to listen in. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a new episode or post.
And if this conversation spoke to you, share it with a friend or drop a comment below. We love hearing what's resonating with you. Let's wrestle with our questions. Let's seek answers and understanding, and let's reconcile together.